Hello, one and all, and welcome to round 13 of the League of Europe Division 2 Championship. We're here today at Marina Bay, Singapore, for what is undoubtedly one of the most difficult races on the entire calendar. Of course, I'm not alone. Joining me in the commentary box, as per usual, is Mr. QVR Verstappen. How are you, man?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Division 2 of Singapore. Back after the break week last week, so the drivers have had a rest and time to prepare for this race here. They will definitely need it, as it's the longest race in time on the calendar.
Yeah, in fact, after, of course, both me and Verstappen raced in Division 1, we had to frantically get this stream set up just to get it in for you guys on time. But we managed it, and we can cover all of the action for you guys here tonight. So, we are first leading out in qualifying. It has more corners, this track, than any other circuit on the F1 calendar, I believe. There are 23 at this circuit here in Singapore. So very, very technical. They are. It's just like Monaco. It's very, very tight. Of course, barriers are always looming. So knocking off an end plate of this track is extremely easy. So it is not a track to be taken lightly. The drivers are going to have to try and watch out as well. Try and execute. Make sure that they are on their A game at a track like this. So let's get it underway then. Qualifying first up. We'll have 18 minutes to decide who's going to claim that pole position. And a track like Singapore, overtaking is difficult. Qualifying is going to be immensely important here.
Definitely is, overtaking, as you said, is extremely difficult. There's a few opportunities on the long straight, Raffles Boulevard, if I may call. Turn 1 is an opportunity as well, and if you're brave enough, maybe into turn 14, the third DRS straight. But that's an unlikely one, we'll see. But who knows, as Ira Packer, we're kind of getting used to it. Last season it was Gary all the time,
yeah.
Now it's Packer. First out, and he's almost about to start a lap.
So here we go then, let's take you through a first hot lap of the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Over the line now, Iro Packer begins his first flying lap in the session, heading into the high speed turn 1 then, takes it in fourth gear, takes a lot of curb. Yeah, got to try and take as much as you can to carry as much apex speed as you can. Now gearing out of the traction zone to turn 3, left kick of 4, then you're lining up for turn 5. They're opening it up again, use as much of the track as you can. It's using as much of the momentum as you possibly can around that circuit then, under the tunnel through turn 6, now braking into Memorial Corner at the end of the straight, and a turn 7, 25.9 for a sector, pretty decent from Packer. Braking now into turn 8, getting that nice and stop there, then sweep it round, fourth gear through turn 9, then run it up to the wall there, gets it a little bit out of shape, but Packer just about holds it together, and then coming into the corner that used to be known as Singapore slide through turn 10, then gearing up for turn 11 and 12, cuts the corner and validates on the inside line immediately then. So Packer's going to have to try and back out of that one there. We're going to watch behind an MMA Slash, the only car that's gone out on the medium tyres. Let's have a look at that one then. He rounds the hairpin over turn 13 and picks up that throttle onto the exit. Then Championship contender MMA Slash heads down to turn 14 now. Purple second sector, of course. First car on a valid lap. That's on the track there. Powers out now, King of 15 is immediately braking into turn 16, locks up on the right front but keeps it together through turn 17, very close to the wall. You need to be to really maximise this track. Now, turn 18, 19, 90 degree corners to round off the lap then. Turn 20, now you're racking up these turns then. Try and carry the momentum on the exit of turn 21, now heading into the high speed turn 22 and flat out turn 23 to the line. MMA Slash, a 134.7 to open things off there. The Alfa Romeo goes to the top, and we'll see how the rest of the grid goes on and see if they can replace him at the top and see who is going to take the advantage early on. Back his teammate goes to the top immediately at 133.7, a second faster, and a former Division 1 driver starting bright and going to the top at the moment under 133.7. We'll see if he holds on to it there. 14 minutes to go.
So Gary just slots in behind 3/10 of the Polish driver, and a few others coming across the line. Tinkan up to first. Zuidema is going up into P1 at 33.6 as Dylan has retired from the session. He's spun out at turn 14.
Oh dear.
And that's going to be probably around the back he'll be starting, the Red Bull driver. So he's got a lot of ground to make up in the race.
Yeah, Dylan. Oh, wow, that is heart-wrenching and a lot of work to do, as you mentioned now. And riding on board with Cougar Maledictus, maybe you can see the circumstances of his crash. You can see it's well past the corner, actually. You can see Maledictus has to go around. Hopefully, that car gets cleared soon enough, as there are going to be drivers on hot laps coming through and trying to navigate that there. But Dylan, oh, that is painful. His championship charge has started to falter as of late, and he really can't afford to be having those sort of incidents there. So Dylan will be starting from the rear of the field, and as we've alluded to several times, will have a lot to do this way. So Dylan forced to start from the tail end of the grid, and yeah, you really sense now that, you know, having had such a bright start to the season, Dylan's championship campaign seems to be slipping away almost, and he's got to really try and pull together if he wants to stay anywhere near the championship fight.
He definitely has to, as I think he's about 30 points behind Rick at the moment at championship lead. As right now, boy, with Mr. Sky, he's just at a little moment out of turn 9. I think he's the next one on a valid lap, so maybe a good idea to ride on board with him going through turn 11, 12, and now into the hairpin of 13. Difficult corner to line up as you have a little kink in before. And now on the exit, gets the power down quite nicely. DRS open and up towards the sector 2 split. A 1 at 2.2 looks to be proper. I doubt it actually is. We'll have to see. On the exit of 14, now towards 15. Let's see, can he power it through? Again, a difficult one. Actually have to move across the track to actually line your car up for the braking zone. Now towards the tunnel, quite nice here under the stadium basically. Up towards the final chicane of 20 and 21. Second gear, fourth gear on the exit here. And now power towards the final 2 corners. High speed, bit on the curb there on the exit. 34 flat, puts him up at speed 4.
Yeah, the Mercedes driver, the Frenchman, moving up, and we'll see what you can do with that then. Still a few tenths off there. Zonema, very impressive, and Zonema actually won this race in Division 2 last season, so he does have credentials, he does have ability around this track, and he's showing it even though it's been a difficult campaign, a difficult championship. As I'm not sure if I'm having a bit of audio issues there, I could sort of sense it, but we're going to try and continue on nevertheless. Bit of a quiet point in the session at the moment then. First runs appear to be in the books. We're about 7 minutes into this session, so that means 11 minutes to go. A lot of time for these drivers to put down their fastest possible laps then, so we'll keep an eye out on that. Zonema still leads the way though, a 10.5 clear, and a driver that does have a track record of doing well around this track. We'll see how he gets on there. Zonema does not have a single podium this season. He'll be wanting to turn that round, and if he can hold up there, we know he's a driver that usually races better than qualifies. Zonema, we'll see what he can make of that there. Good start, but can he keep it going?
He definitely has had a few decent results, but indeed not a podium yet. And for someone who's in 6th place in the championship, he'll definitely be wanting one this race. But yeah, last season, of course, we had a legendary race, you could call it, around this track. And he came out on top after overtaking Killer Blue in the last lap into turn 1, which is quite a moment here. But yeah, let's see how he does this time and if he can maintain that pole position.
Yeah, that race last season here was quite possibly one of the greatest races I've had the privilege of commentating on. So it's got a lot to live up to this D2 grid. But another great race this season was Britain, and that was fantastic last season as well. So maybe our track record will keep going. Out on track at the moment, MMA Slash is leading the way then. I think is the only driver actually on a flyer at the moment. Nico, I think, is just behind him. So let's keep an eye out on the Alfa Romeo then, heading down through turn 5 and opening back up there. Slash currently 4th in the Drivers' Championship standings. If he strings a few good results together, can maybe try and get into that championship fight up the road there. And he is currently going well then at a 0.8. First sector fast for MMA Slash. Let's see if he can keep this going then. Out of turn 8 is nice and clean. Now sweeping into the fantastic turn 8. I love that corner. And you really need to try and force it up against that wall. Now heading in to the former Singapore slide, getting very close to these walls there. The Slash is a driver that's always on it over one lap, but runs a little bit wide. Coming through turn 12, and it's just going to have to try and keep that together. Now, at a turn 13, onto the throttle yet again. DRS now open for MMA Slash. Where is the section time? It is fast. It's 6/10 up on his current lap, and that's could potentially put him around about where his teammate is. So let's see how this ends up then for Slash. He gets on on to those brakes, heading now through turn 17. Bit of oversteer, lot of oversteer, goes halfway across the track, snaking around and just about able to keep that car underneath him. Now exits at a turn 19 and a 20 now, and it's just a fantastic part of the track there. Really got to try and maximise this. It's such a difficult technical circuit. Where can Slash go there? Currently 8th at the moment. Goes up to 3rd. The 3rd driver into the 1:33.0. Nico though just beats him. Goes on to another 0.9. So now these lap times are starting to come in. The times are starting to come down. And at the moment Zauderer still leads the way. And as I say that has been completely blown out of the water. As Iro Packer goes to the top. Rick did do a decent lap there. Landon now goes second. So the lap times are now flooding in just past the halfway point in the session. Packer though, a superb lap. And again he's continuing his run of good form. Had a great race last time out in Monza before the break. So at the moment, Packer is trying to turn his season around then, currently saying 8th in the standings. Looking to try and move up, and Packer, top of the timesheets at the moment there by a long way, 2.5 tenths. And we'll see if the American can hold that and try and get back into the contention in this championship. I think Tin Can's going into 5th as well, so they're starting to queue up in that midfield, but Packer comfortably on top at the moment.
He definitely looks impressive at the moment. In this session as we have Axel Ryan come towards the end of his lap. His teammates up P5. Let's see if he can match that. Coming through the final 2 corners. Up to the line. Axel Ryan into P9. Just 3 tenths off his teammate. Hardy goes quickest though. 3 and it's quicker than Iro Packer.
Yeah, so Hardy then beginning to replace up at the top. It's very, very close to margin. Only 0.03 of a second, but it is to the good regardless for XO Hardy, and now we're going to see if he can hold out to the end of this session. Superb stuff for Hardy, a championship contender, not a potential championship contender. He is certainly up for it, although he hasn't won a race this season. He's scored just consistently high points despite being late into the championship. He is beginning to make the most of that there and continuing to impress. Now up to the line comes Maledictus on mediums, is at the bottom of the timesheet, so I don't think there was really much in that. We are now have all the remaining drivers in the session on the board then with that lap from Maledictus, and at the moment Hardy does lead the way. A bit of a larger field spread round here compared to what you're usually seeing. It is still relatively close towards the front of the field. I think that was Spag going up into P8. And the Ferrari goes into the top 10. So it's very tight in the midfield region. A few drivers may be struggling a little bit to hook up a lap round here. It is difficult, do not get me wrong there. So it's, again, such a unique track in the way that, you know, it's so technical and these drivers having to really force their way through. Hardy at the top of the moment, but really what you're seeing then, a lot his championship rivals really, well, Rick and Dylan. Rick has done solidly up there in 5th place, but Dylan, that is good. We've alluded to this before. That could really cost Dylan. He's not had a podium since I think Austria, which was 5 rounds ago now. So he is really suffering at the moment. He's got to try and pick himself back up if he wants to get himself back into that championship fight. But at the moment Hardy looks to be in the ascension now at the top, and we'll see how he turns it around. Less than 5 minutes to go and we're getting an answer. Who's going to take pole position? A track like Singapore, as we mentioned, it is so critical to get at the top of the grid. Which drivers are going to do it with 5 minutes to go?
Definitely going to be interesting to see how that pans out. So Skyzy just went up into P8. He's also not really out of it just yet. He's 5th in the driver standings and has a podium by his name in Britain and a few other good results as well. 4th in the Netherlands and in Austria. So he definitely is always kind of up there, but he's yet to really impress race and maybe get close to a race victory.
Yeah, he's always a driver that's sort of just in the mix, but hasn't really ascended to it just yet. We'll get a bit more of an idea, though, later on as to where he stands. He's got, you know, we're running out of rounds now in this championship. We only have 6 races left to go, including this one. So we are starting to get into the business end of the season. So these drivers are going to have to make their moves soon and really just churn out the results. It's going to be so critical. Less than 4 minutes to go in qualifying. Pretty much every driver is currently sitting in the pit lane, so it's very, very quiet out there on track. Only driver out on the lap there is Skyzy just coming in. As I say that, a driver has emerged. I think That is it Tin Can? In the Racing Point. Actually, he's just bested out the pit lane. That is by Packer, who yet again the first driver out on track. How familiar is that then? And Packer, don't forget, he is currently down in second there. Hardy did overhaul him, but Packer set that lap time earlier on without track evolution, so he still has a really good chance of maybe snatching pole position. Another driver maybe to look out for is Baki, because Baki set 1:33.6. That was right at the start of the session. So really, track evolution could play a big role, and some of those drivers that I mentioned, if they can hook up the lap, they may have the potential to fight for pole position here today.
They definitely do, and the likes of Gary as well. He's only set the 34 flat. I think he can do a lot better than that. So you're gonna have to see if he can maybe get close. Slash is one to look out for as well, as usual. His one lap pace is sometimes just astonishing to see. And the guys have not set a lap time. Well, close to the pack are Neo Luigi, Scuderia Sepp and Maledictus. Maybe they can do something to maybe challenge for top 5 and maybe even better.
Yeah, we will see. There are so many contenders. This is such a tight grid, and really anyone, I think, who is in front of you here today can mount that challenge. Of course, recently you had drivers like Gary, as you mentioned, Scuderia Sepp, who joined later on in the season or were demoted. They have impressed greatly, I must say, in recent rounds there. Both of them have grabbed, I believe, race victories. I know Gary won last time out in Monza, and Scuderia Sepp won the round before that in Belgium. So that is really what you're looking at there, the kind of emerging climate in this championship. Pretty much every car, in fact every car, is on track at the moment to start flying lap. Tin Can the first over the line. Let's see how the Racing Point goes. Currently set. Can he make that better though? Oh, as I say that.
Well, he can't, as he just invalidates there into turn 1. Let's see if Packer can do it. Nope, he invalidates into turn 2. Guess next one is going to invalidate into turn 3 as we have Exo Gary coming up towards that corner.
Oh, we're good.
Just to let this up right. Now coming through turn 4 and now up towards turn 5 to open the DRS quite shortly on the Raffles Boulevard. We'll see the most overtakes in the race around here. Long straight here up the 8th gear. They go just about there. And now break in 26-2, not the greatest first sector. They'll look to improve throughout the rest of the lap. Now coming towards turn 8, difficult corner, just hanging it around the curb there. And turn 9, difficult to turn in, little lock up on the front left there. On the exit, he takes it quite nicely though. And towards the former Singapore Sling here. Now been remodeled a bit. Towards turn 11 and 12, quite difficult, close to the walls here. Again here to line up for the hairpin into turn 13. And the exit, so let's see if the Irishman can do it quite well. He gets the power down quite nicely. 102.2, he's got a better middle sector, I think. Now on the exit of 14, just using as much track as you can. And now towards 15 and 16, turning in once again on the exit. Let's see if he can do it quite nicely. A difficult wall there, if you can hit that stay away from that, that's quite nicely. Gary now coming towards the final chicane of 20 and 21. And towards the final two corners. Oh. Very close to the wall once again. A lot of usage of the track for the Irishman. It's lovely to see now the final two corners. Gary across the line, 33.7. He's kind of improved into P9. And I think Seidemann went into P3 just behind him.
Yeah, Seidemann improving to third then. Just by Packer, didn't have a chance to improve on that lap, of course. So now we're in the business end, the final stage in this session. Lando is flying. Lando is on a fantastic flying lap there, heading through turn 22. Watch the Renault coming through. Goes second, just messes out on provisional pole. Hardy there behind him, may go even quicker. He has gone even quicker, 33.1. That is sensational. Back he goes into second now. Improves onto the front row of the grid then. Slash moves up sixth. I think he would have wanted more though. Who's next up there? Nico coming up to the line. Only 13 then for the Spaniard, massively wide out of the final corner. I think that was Rick who stays down in 7th position then. So who, if anyone, still has the time, still has it left in them to challenge for the front? Neo Luigi and the Mercedes, former Division 1 driver, former Division 2 champion in PRL, comes over, but it's only 12th place for the Merc out there. So next up over the line, I think it's going to be Spack, goes up to 7th there, 133.5. They're all starting to flood in now. Now we are at the dying stages. We only have 2 more cars on lap. The first of them coming through now. And Maledictus goes down into 14 there. Can't quite improve by much then. It's so tight though. Next up, Skyzy, currently 10th. Where can the Frenchman put us up? I think that was 5th place in the end for the Mercedes driver. A frantic end to qualifying to round this off then and setting up hopefully what's going to be an incredible race up in front of us. Hardy on pole position. I'll leave it to my co-commentator, Mr. QVR Verstappen, to run us through the results.
So just want to note, 7.5 tenths on the track with the most corners between all the soft runners. Scuderia Sep setting a time on the mediums. Ogronia through it. Hardy and Baki on the front row. Less than half, well, just more than half a tenth between them. Then Lana back on the second row. Skyzy and Zuidema in 5th and 6th place. And we have Slash and Spag in 7th and 8th. Championship leader Rick in 9th place. He have to make some ground up and think and run out the top 10. Then we have Gary, Niwaluigi, Ryan, Maledictus, Nico, Scuderia Sep, and Dylan running off the grid in 17th. All for free tire shows as well. So we're going to have a look at that as well.
Yeah, that is incredible. At a track like Singapore, which is so technical, in the end, and quite a long track as well, it's one of the longest laps on the entire calendar, all the soft runners, 3/4 of a second between them. I think you can blink your eyes maybe twice or 3 times in that time. So just to put it across there, that's how evenly matched all these drivers are, and hopefully you see more of that here in the race just coming up. So we're very much looking forward to this one. XO Hardy has a great run at things now, I believe. We'll see if he can try and turn that around and maybe even get up towards the front of the Drivers' Championship standings. Of course, Rick is, I believe, 31 points clear of him at the moment. So, yeah, he can try and make that up there. There is plenty of time, still 6 rounds left for him to try and make up that difference. Back he joins from the front row, but the Championship leader Rick down to 9th, and it does give the likes of Hardy a really good chance of trying to overhaul him there. The Championship could really tighten up here today.
It definitely could. If Hardy makes use of that pole position, he definitely could go towards Rick, getting closer to him. As I think, I have a look actually how big the gap is. But I think it's about 30. It's 31 points. So yeah, if he can get the win, assuming that Rick will get like in the mid pack, then he can gain maybe 20 points even.
Yeah, but of course, that's all in theory. I can tell you that in Singapore, and particularly after what we saw last season, nothing is guaranteed. So obviously, everyone in the top 10 will be forced onto the soft tyres. A track where you can do a one-stop soft to hards, starting on the soft tyres, but you can't go very long on those red wall tyres. So keep an eye out on that one. But outside the top 10, predictably, absolutely no one opting for that same strategy and going for other options.
Yeah, it does look like that. We have 5 drivers on the mediums. Gary, Niwaluigi, Maledictus, Nico and Dylan. They'll be probably opting for a medium to hard strategy. And then we have Ryan and Scuderia Sep maybe going for the opposites. It does look like that. They're starting on the hardest compound of tires, the white walls. They'll be slower at the beginning, but will probably gain a lot throughout the rest of the race and maybe some track position at the end.
Yeah, I do want to mention, usually I'd be saying expect the soft runners to pull away in the early laps. I do not expect that here today. The soft tyres are, I'm going to be honest there with my words, they are a dreadful race tyre. They only have a few, maybe 3 or 4 laps of actual pace. And around lap 4 or 5, well, you will be seeing a lot of these guys diving to the pit lane, barring any safety cars, of course, then maybe shape up the strategies a little bit. So, really watch out for that then. The soft runners probably are going to have to be on the defensive even, because I'd say after maybe only 2 or 3 laps, the medium runners could start to come at them, since they may well have better tyre wear. Just before we get round to the grid, I'm going to go over to you, Verstappen, then who for this race, it could go any way. I think my prediction for the race one would be one of the top 17, but who do you going for? What is your top 3 for today's race?
Well, I think, first of all, your prediction should be very accurate. I'm going to go... Baki's going to win this race.
Okay.
I think Bakker is going to get 2nd place. And Zuidema is going to get 3rd.
Well, let's see how that goes. I believe your prediction last time out at Monza was pretty good. So we'll see if it's going to come to fruition this time around. But we will see, of course. Now the grid begins to line up then. Not the biggest grid for today, just 17 drivers. But I'm sure they can put in a great race for us here tonight. Hardy Baki, that's your front row. Who's going to have that race lead there? They're all important race lead heading into turn 1. We have 3, 4, 5 lights. Long hold, but we are away for the Singapore Grand Prix. Red 13 in the championship then. Away goes Hardy from the line. Will try and confirm it back. He did. He's in turn 1 and leads. Forces Hardy out wide then. They're side by side again, going into turn 2 from the back to the field. Packer looking to hold off Lando, who gets squeezed out there and loses out in the 4th place there. They're going to go wheel to wheel from the back to the field as well. MMA Slash by the way with Spag, who was able to get that move done as well and move up into that 7th place. But up in the front there, Packer is attacking Hardy, looking for second early on in the road. Dives down the inside and a turn 7. Can he get that one stop there? Packer for P2. Again, Hardy is forced wide for the 2nd time in the 1st sector. Hardy forced off there by his rival, and Packer moves up to 2nd in front of him then. But Paki does indeed lead the way out there. We have yellows as Maledictus round in the rear of the field. I don't know if the Ferrari's picked up damage from that then, but he is spun round and is well detached from the rear end of the racing field then, so he's going to have a lot of room to try and recover. But Baki does lead the way though in front of Packer. Packer's going to try and put the pressure on then. You're seeing it immediately. I'm looking down. Packer actually has underfueled the car for this race. A few other drivers will. Zaunova in 2nd place has also went for that strategy. Great start for Iro Dillon. He moves through on Nemo Luigi then from last on the grid, now runs 12th in the 2nd highest medium runner. He needs to do that. He needed a great start to keep his championship hopes alive, and currently Dillon now runs 12th place. He's making a great work at this. There's only Gary on the mediums now in front of him.
Yeah, definitely great start for him. Looking for who's got the most position changes. Yeah, Dillon 5 places up. That's quite impressive. Safe Packer and Baki also good starts. And of course Maledictus just down a little bit. That's I'm seeing someone go a bit wide there. That's Brian. Nemo Luigi's just got past, I think. It does look like. I don't know what's happened really, because he's just ghosted there. But that might just be the game scene for us, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the case, unfortunately. Codemasters can sometimes let us down, but Ryan making a mistake, dropping back. And now has Nemo Luigi just in front of him. You see the Racing Point getting a little bit out of shape at the moment, just about holding it together. So, update on the front of the race there. Baki leads, but look at the pressure that Packer's putting onto him there. He has a lighter car, he's underfueled, and he's using that to full effect. He's all over the rear wing of the Alfa Romeo at the moment. Surprisingly, I must add, we had 0 pit stops on the opening lap at a track like Singapore, where cars can so easily pick up damage. That is hugely unexpected, but it is the way things have turned out at the end, and the field runs in a relative train at the moment down there. So we're going to look to see close battles on track there. Things are just beginning to settle down a little bit there. Certainly further back there, Rex looks pretty fast there, but he hasn't made much progress. He sits on the rear wing of Spaghetti Chips at the moment in the Ferrari, down in 8th and 9th place for the time being though, but they're some of the last sufferers on the track. Only Tin Can is behind them. You're seeing immediately though is that the medium runners have not lost any time, and XL Gary is right behind them. And of course, in terms of strategies in this race, both the I suspect that both the soft and the medium runners at the moment are probably going to pit for hard tyres, but in a few laps time, expect the medium runners to really start to charge through and challenge the soft runners, since their tyre deck is so much lower and their pace drop off will be so much less as well. So keep an eye out on that one. Expect the likes of Gary, Dillon to start moving their way through in the next few laps, if they can of course, because overtaking is so difficult, but they'll definitely have more pace and they'll be on the offensive, I'm sure, in a few laps time.
Yeah, definitely can see as Maledictus. He's in clean air. He's 5 tenths quicker than Baki at the moment. So it definitely shows that those mediums are just way better at in the race. And already on lap 2, as we have Dillon onto the back of Tin Can, he might be going for a move down into turn 7, but I don't think it's close enough. Both of them using some overtake mode. Rick has a bit of a look at Spag up ahead. Nico's getting past Ryan. Round the outside of turn 7. Can he make it stick? Ryan still holds his nose in. And I think a side by side into turn 8. Nico, can he stick it? Bit of contact once again. I don't think any wing was lost. Still side by side through turn 9. This is going to be really difficult. Still side by side, but Ryan keeps just about ahead on those hard tires. But they've lost 2 seconds, and I now have to get back up towards the red of the pack.
Yeah, that was a stout defence from XL Ryan, but it may have cost him there because he's lost out. Nico tried it, but couldn't quite pull it off. Rowdy outside of 9. You know what? You do not want to be run into the wall there on the exit. So he's just going to have to try and keep that together. Dillon, I think, is on the attack yet again. Look at the back of XL. Tin Can now. But Iro Dillon just slots in behind. He's also an XL driver as well, so he doesn't want to be going too aggressive on him. But he does look quicker. You can see the extra grip that the medium tires are applying for Iro Dillon compared to XL. Tin Can just up in front of him. and expect Gary to be doing the same then. That is the championship leader just in front of him in Rick, and he is sitting all over him at the moment then, really piling the pressure on immediately. Early pit stops then. That's MMA Slash coming in, as well as Rick behind. They're going for insane undercuts, but having seen the Division 1 race earlier, that's not too surprising. You did see a few drivers picking about earlier. It will probably be hard tyres for the pair of them, I suspect. They'll look to try and take those to the end of the race. They've got to pray. Is that, I'm watching there see any tyre choices as Rick goes out on mediums then. That's an odd one.
He's going to go for it too, because there's absolutely no way he's going to make those mediums. Last to the end is Iro. Dylan's just got past on the straight. On Raps Boulevard on Tinkan, and he's up into P9.
Yeah, clean move from Dylan. Now he has Gary just in front of him. The two mediums. Let's see how those guys get on. I think eventually they should fall into relatively clean air. Both of them have underfueled the cars. You're seeing that kind of bit of a strategic difference between all the drivers then. It's a track where you want to be using lean mixture through a lot of the corners. Yeah, these drivers being a bit more being a bit more light on their car in the early stages of this race. Hopefully no one is going to run out of fuel in this race, but I don't see that to be too likely. But Rick, that is a very odd one for me. Surely those medium tyres cannot go all the way to the end of the race. I'm not sure if you beg to differ on that one, but I think that Rick is committed to a two-stop strategy. So that means he's going to have to fly. He's given up track position here massively. And now the championship leader has to do a load of overtaking. Try and get back into this one. Rick, last on the road, and with the tyre strategy that may compromise him. I'm not sure about this one from Rick, but we'll see if he can pull it off and try and keep a hold of that strong championship lead he has at the moment.
And Axel Hardy is now into the pits as well as Lando. They're both going in. Let's see what tyre choice they go for. Coming through, I see white wall tyres for Hardy and white wall tyres for Lando as well. So they both going towards the end, I reckon. Spaak is doing the same as Tinkan, all for hard tyres. So Rick is really the only one here who's going to opt for the mediums and opt for a two-stop here.
Yeah, so a rather fascinating strategy call up ahead though. Zoudemars attacking Skyzy down the inside, heading into turn 7, claims the inside line, locks it all up and runs wide, and immediately Skyzy gets up and underneath and away. Up in a third place then, Skyzy will hold on to that one. Zaudemar's overtake is unsuccessful, so is Nico's. He cannot get past XL Rye back there. Now I was watching to see where Slash would emerge. He's come out just behind Hardy. Look at where Rick is. Rick immediately on the attack, gonna look to the inside onto Raffles Boulevard. They're gonna go wheel to wheel down onto the tunnel, but immediately Rick will pull through. Fresher tyres he has to make the most of them there. Softer tyres I should say. But now he is thoroughly making a good deal of that one, and now has Hardy up in front of him on cold hard tyres that will not be in the operating window just yet. Rick immediately on the attack. Is he going to go for it? In a turn 10 he lays on the inside lane of his championship rival, but does back out of it, does think better of it, and will sit in behind for the moment. I'm sure both of them was a bit of a nervous moment for the both of them, but they will just hang on to it. But surely Rick, look at how much later he can break. He get into the hairpin at turn 13, but if Hardy can hold it back, he's going to be limiting Rick's potential to use that. Again in turn 14, Rick is not close enough. So you're seeing now this track very difficult to overtake. Rick, the Finn, cannot get through it. Hardy maintaining 12, and Rick's strategy may be costing him there slightly then, as we have immediately pit stops there. 4 drivers on the softs into the pit lane. That promotes Gary, Dylan and Nemo Luigi to the front of the race.
Yeah, now no one will be in softs anymore. Let's just check if everyone goes for the hard, I assume. So yes, they will. And now it's going to be important to see where these drivers going to emerge. As I think Rick is just Hardy as well coming around the final. Rick with the fastest lap here. Is Baki going to hold his leads? I think he's just about it's going to be close between Hardy and Baki. Hardy trying to go round the outside of turn 3. Is he going to make the stick? He's just about alongside still the 2 race leaders. Now into turn number 5. Hardy looks to have the and he's fast. And now Rick gets fast and he's going to line up a move on Hardy now as well. Let's see. Using the overtake to go down the inside of turn 7 on Hardy. Later on the brakes, and he should have that move done. Yes, he does. Rick up to P8, and Hardy is taking the lead off the hard runners here.
Yeah, brilliant bit of driving there from Rick. Opportunistic and able to get the moves done then. Back he lost out there. He nearly had it, but ran away. But he does have a lot of pressure tires. He can try and attack back. He's trying to get temperature into them first then. And as Packer still right on his rear wing. So Hardy made the undercut work. Now we're going to see if he can hold on to it. It's still incredibly close amongst your net race leaders then. And so everything can change in almost the blink of an eye. They emerge there, coming off a turn 13, beginning to form into line. And now Rick's going to have to try and use this leverage that he now has with clean air to push forward and get these guys out of his DRS range and pull away into the race lead. Now, Backy is under pressure because Packer laying him up there. Backy made a slight mistake through turn 14 and now is the Haas driver swarming over his rear wing, but can't quite get through for the moment. These guys all trying to get temperature into their tyres. The Haas difficult to get into that operating window. No pit stops on this lap then, so we're all just maintaining the status quo for the moment there. Closest battle on track there between a number of cars. Actually, I thought it was just between Nico and Ryan, but they do have a few drivers tucked in behind him. Immediately, Rick pulling away, and Hardy actually gapping back as well. So he's making the most of that very early on then. Look at Nico, the overtake on. He's attacking Ryan again, right to the wall. Nico finds the gap on the inside, but can't quite see through the move. But away goes Ryan, and out to the outside now goes Nico. But surely not right in, maybe he gets a switch back there. Powers to the outside again, heading in a turn 9 then. But Ryan will hold the inside line and hold the place just about. And maintain that possession on the hard still in front of the Red Bull driver. Looks like behind it is all still in a line and they maintain their possession. So Rick beginning to pull away. The real battle is Hardy trying to break Backy behind him. Backy of course was so quick in qualifying and had a great start, but now as Hardy really trying to stretch his legs there, the pole setter on a mission trying to break these guys away and get into clean air and starting to use that to pull away from these drivers behind him. They're Hardy pushing but can't quite break Backy's DRS. Not yet anyway.
Not yet anyway, he still has DRS, but of course this DRS is not going to help a lot, and Hardy has to really pull away in this last sector if he wants to break that gap. And of course a sector where you can easily get some time on another if you're well, quite fast at it. So let's see if he can do that. He's just about got a 1.1 second gap at the moment.
Yeah, so it's right on a knife edge then, that battle for the race lead at the moment there. The battle for the race lead out on track between all the medium runners still rages on. They have not come into the pit lane just yet. Lando gets a penalty. I think that's the first of the guys in that lead battle to really get one. And again, fastest lap from Rick. He is flying now, clearing away from the drivers behind it. Hardy is doing what he needs to do then. He's 1.1 clear. Now, watching this battle then. Nico again will attack Exo Ryan, who does not relinquish the inside line, but surely has to give it up this time. Round goes Nico, and finally he takes that fourth position and moves forward then, and he can try and move with him, but this race has not gone the Spaniards' way. Again, Backy has wrestled DRS back, and interestingly Hardy has used a lot more ERS to try and pull away. So if Backy can just keep doing what he's doing, keep salvaging and hanging on to that DRS, Hardy's charge will eventually fade. This is a track where ERS can be burned off very quickly and you cannot recover from it. So Hardy trying everything, trying as he might, but if he runs out of ERS, surely he can't keep that going. And Backy now, if Hardy does run out, Backy will surely close up to him and start applying the pressure back. It's so close to this battle for DRS then, but at the moment Backy just hanging on to it.
Yeah, definitely. And in mind you have Packer and Slash actually having the same thing and doesn't have DRS for this part, so he's going to have to push. But with 3% DRS at the moment, he's going to have a hard time to do that, where Packer has about 9 DRS. So don't rule out the American here, he is still right in this.
Yeah, and he saved his ERS better than anyone in this train, I believe. I can't confirm. Indeed, he has. So he has a real bit of offensive opportunity if he wants to use that against Backy. He's still under-fueled, but he seems to be measuring this right. I will not rule Packer out of this race by any means if he can stay with Backy. This time, Backy may have just leaked that 1 second he needs there. He does not have DRS, and that could render him on the defensive from the train behind him. So is that going to start to flip the tables then in this battle? Backy's going to have to fight for this. this one, but Packer is going to look to reel him in. I completely agree with you on that point there. The Haas driver looks very, very strong. Again, though, Baki gets back on the fight. Hardy makes a slight error, and he still cannot break them just yet. Baki is fought back into that DRS range. Hardy is now under 20% ERS. It is ebbing and flowing, and sometimes a break it, but he can't get a complete move away from these guys behind. As further back down, Lando on the offensive gets through on Slash. I did not see that coming, in fact, there. But in turn 7, Lando gets the move done. He's through on Slash. He was struggling so much for pace in the Alfa Romeo. Now drops back, and now it's up to Lando with a 2-second gap to try and close down on net race leaders and stay in that fight for the race win.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if he can close out the gap to the American up ahead. Let's see, he does have still somewhat ERS as Gary, the race leader, picks up a time penalty there. But yeah, no, so it's about 50% ERS, so he still has some to push towards Baki and Packer.
Yeah, that gap has actually come down by a few tenths of a second already. So at the moment, Lando making the most of it. It seems like Slash is a bit of a bottleneck here, because immediately Skyzy is taking an opportunity to close up to him then. Up the field though, and they do have pit stops finally. Gary and Dylan both come in. Neil Luigi stays out, up in the lead of the race now, and Nico will keep going as well, now promoted to second place now. This is the big one. Where will all these drivers come out there? They will have had a better set of tyres there, a softer set, than the net race leaders, but where will they come out in comparison since they had older tyres? So Gary, let's keep an eye out now. Slash gets a penalty yet again. Another blow to his chances in this race. Gary and Dylan, where will they emerge? They will be, I imagine, right at the rear of this train. Indeed they will be. In fact, even Zaudema will jump the pair of them. So through out the pit lane now comes Gary and Dylan behind him there. They've got a lot of work to do to get back through. Move through the train, but they have fresher tyres by some distance. They can try and make the most of that there to get through. Look at Packer indeed then, closing up on the back of Baki, and Baki goes middle of the track, but Packer finds the inside line, getting a stop there, no wheel to wheel. Packer squeezes him to the edge of the track, but Baki does not relinquish it. Down the inside now, in a turn 8, but Packer will get through and hang on to it. Now further back there, Slash and Skyzy are battling away in a turn 9, but the inside line with the Mercedes, and the place with the Mercedes. If the entry spins it though, was there tap, there was a contact from Slash and Skyzy into the wall. Was there contact coming out of turn 9? The Mercedes driver now into the wall after contact, I believe, with damage, and now yellows in section 2. That's heartbreak for Skyzy. He's well detached from the train now.
Yeah, it looked like Skyzy had a bit of oversteer on the exits, and Slash was going for the switchback, but he was just about there, so a bit of contact came into place as Neil Luigi picks up a time penalty in the lead of the race. He'll be pitting quite soon. But yeah, Skyzy unfortunately just a bit of oversteer and got into contact with Slash, and yeah, that's really not helped his chances here. As Packer now picks up a time penalty, that is quite crucial at the moment, so he has to be careful with those. And it's difficult to note, he has already dropped Baki out of DRS.
Yeah, Baki is struggling to really go with it. That was just earlier on in the lap. So that was very surprising, and immediately Packer now making the offences there, and a penalty for Slash again, going through the pit lane this time. So he must have got damage as well in that collision with Skyzy. Skyzy will surely be in as well then. Absolute disaster for the pair of them. Further back down the field there, close battle on track. Looks to be between Spag and Zaudema, and we also have the two fresh hard runners now closing up on the pair of them, so keep an eye out there. This could get spicy. Now, Zaudema again closing on Spag. The Spag covers the inside line, moves back to the outside lane, and Zaudema almost loses it, opens the DRS. He still runs that way. They're both off the track. Through goes Zaudema though, has the inside line, in a turn 8, runs wide, and Spag back underneath him. Will get the move done. Was Zaudema laying him through, but round the outside, no goes Gary then. Can he get the move done on the McLaren? Right up against the wall, but Gary trying to get through, outside the Singapore sling, wheel to wheel with Zaudema still, through turn 10, through turn 11, Gary backs out on the inside, will yield it. Why oh my, that was so risky, so ambitious, and in the end he came good and just about avoiding the contact, so Gary unable to get through, and now Dylan all over him then, just a tenth of a second away, but Gary gets a better run, coming off a turn 13, will hold on to that 10th place and try and go back at Zaudema later on in the lap. Another battle on track between Spag and Zaudema. Those two seem to find themselves sharing the same piece of tarmac in pretty much every race we've seen this season. Spag was able to get through, Zaudema has to drop back in then and maintain that 9th position. Getting very hectic in there, and this is holding them up. Likes of Gary, Dylan, Nemo, Luigi on the fresh tyres. They really want to get more of this there, and they want to try and get through on Zaudema and the rest of the field as quickly as possible, and use their fresher tyres to try and chase down the race leaders.
And look at Packer, he's almost in DRS of Hardy at the moment. He is showing some incredible pace at the moment. He's burned a bit of a DRS, but he still has about 55%. He is now into DRS of the McLaren up ahead. And he will be going onto the offensive quite soon, I reckon. His pace is tremendously good.
But remember, he does have a time penalty, so that could really hold him back there. Lando now on the back of Bacchi, and hits the back of him now, going into turn 7. He taps the rear of the Alfa Romeo, and spearing off now, Bacchi loses out there. Lando, I think, just misjudged his braking point and sent Bacchi half spinning there. The pole was just about able to hold on to it and avoid damage, but that set him right out of that there. Lando, I think, still a little bit too impatient, or maybe just misjudged it there. Ran into the back of him, he makes the possession, but I'm not sure Bacchi will be happy with that. Maybe the stewards we'll have a word with that after the race. Bacchi though drops back there, and his race it started amazingly, now slowly going downhill. He needs to try and recover, but it's not looking good for the Alfa Romeo at the moment.
Definitely is not looking good at the moment. Zuidema back onto the back of Spaak. He's not going to make a move into turn 14, but he's closed up massively, so let's see if he can make a move quite soon.
Let's keep an eye out on all of these battles then, out on the track then. There's a train at the moment behind Spag, and Zuidema sits on his rear with Gary, Dylan, Luigi, Tin Can, they are all with it. So that's a remarkably long train at the moment out there on the track as the lead battle is scattered a little bit. Hardy and Packer, that's a real battle for DRS. Hardy was just able to drop ahead on this lap. So Packer's going to have to try and respond to that then and get back into that battle. So, front of this train, Spag does lead the way out very wide in the background. I think that was Tin Can there running wide. Now we have Nico and Maledictus, the QBR drivers now on hard, well I say fresh hard tyres, also trying to make inroads as well then and get them back into the fight. They've got a few seconds to make up though, but they have some of the best tyres in the entire field at the present in this race. We're about 12.5 laps in to the Singapore Grand Prix. It's been very eventful so far. MMA/fastest lap. Both he and Skyzy after that collision have a heap of work to do to try and claw this one back. Now I just want to touch on this battle quickly because Spag leads the way, Zuidema behind him, struggling to get back into it, but he is holding DRS, and what this is doing, because it's a DRS train at a track like Singapore, the drivers on the fresh R's are having a really difficult time moving through because of the DRS train.
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult tracks to overtake, as we've mentioned before. And of course, when the opponent in front has DRS as well, it will be very hard to overtake here because they have something to defend. You don't have that advantage of DRS anymore.
Yeah, of course, they are now at 3 DRS zones on this track as well. So that's a major advantage if you're a defending driver, if you have it, to protect yourself from the drivers behind. And as you're seeing, Gary really suffering with there. Gary had his chance, but couldn't quite see it through, and now has to really charge again. But he has an ERS advantage over both the drivers in front of him. We'll see if he can try and use that to good effect as we near the halfway points in this Singapore Grand Prix. It's been ebbing and flowing so far then, and at the moment, their net race leader is XL Hardy. Rick has pulled away from him there, but only by about 3 to 4 seconds. He'll pit again, and we'll see what he can try and make of it there. Tire advantage can be very big, but can he get through? Because the field is still very bunched up at that stage in the race. So Rick is going to have to try and make his way through when he does pit. If there is no safety cars, of course, as I believe Mark was bringing up in the stream chat, that there may well be a safety car, that would really favour him. But assuming that there won't be, Rick, he will be near the back of the field and he's going to have a lot of overtaking to do, but I know from experience actually that the advantage of fresh tyres is gargantuan around this track, so don't count out Rick just yet. He can still get a great haul of points in this race if he can make those fresher tyres work at the end.
This guy's with a fast lap, as you can see now. They're only a little bit fresher, but they are quite a bit faster. And of course not to rule out the two in front either, because they're going to go on to medium presumably. Ryan and Scuderia Sepp, they'll be in the same boat as Rick, I reckon. So we're going to have to see if they can make some inroads as well towards the end of the race.
Yeah, of course, Ryan and Scuderia Sepp, very impressive drivers, of course. Ryan, last season's Division 4 champion, Scuderia Sepp, a proven race winner in this division. So they are talented drivers and expect them to also try and make a splash in this race near the end of things then. We are now on to lap 15 for the race leaders, and it is still a nail-biting prospect here at Singapore. Scuderia Sepp has been staying on the rear wing of Ryan, but Ryan from Nico and Scuderia Sepp has done a remarkable job of defending in this race and maintaining his spot as the leading hard starter in front of Scuderia SM 27. Further down the field, and Tin Can has pitted coming into the pit lane. Maybe he has damage because that seems unusual to me. Look at Scuderia SM, they're going for the race lead. Dead inside has contact with XL Ryan. They come together and the Renault dives it. They make wheel to wheel contact and round goes Scuderia SM. They were fighting for the same piece of track, made wheel to wheel contact, and round goes the Renault. And you were mentioning we were both bringing up their chances. Ryan will still be good, but after they both went so aggressive trying to fight for that position, Scuderia Seb has went round and with another pit stop to make. He's got a long way to go now if he wants points in this race.
He definitely does have a long way to go, and it's not looking good for him. I am not sure what Tin Can. I didn't see if he had any damage, but looking at the amount of time as back, he picked up time penalty. He's gonna be careful. Gotta be careful with that. But yeah, looking at the time he's lost, he's usually pit stop pushes you around 26 to 27 seconds here. I think has lost, I think, about a 31-32, so he might have had a wing change. So I presume he had damage and had to pit because of it.
Yeah, Tin Can suffering a major blow then in this race, and he may well be out of contention barring another safety car. We will see, of course. Now Rick's advantage up at the front is beginning to fade away. It's 2.7 seconds. He's lost about a second in the last 2 or so laps, so Rick is may well just be beginning to slip against him. That these tyres maybe not lasting. He is closing up on Ryan, but he is dragging Hardy with him, and he has not been able to shake Hardy in this stint. So still, the McLaren driver, a championship rival of Rick, doing a superb job, but even he is not able to shake off the persistent Iro Packer, who still sits at the moment in 4th place on the road and is a huge threat to Hardy's net race leadership once all the pit stops are going to take place. For the back down the field there, Lando is going to attack his teammate there, Scuderia Seb, who tries to cover to the inside line, but surely it's no contest. Down inside goes XL Lando, and up into 5th place now. He moves up and now into the top 5. Top 3 on net position, but he may well have a potential penalty on his head with Stewards inquiries at the end of the race. Of course, he did have that contact with back earlier on that sent the Alfa Romeo down into 7th and being chased down by the train led by Spagna that stretches all the way down to Neil Luigi. Then that 5-car fight still rages on. Then there's Spag at the helm and Gary Del Neil Luigi. They must be so frustrated. They still have relatively fresh tyres, about 4 or 5 laps fresher than the cars in front of them, but really they've not been able to make it work so far. And because of this DRS train, as we alluded to earlier, it really looks like these drivers that pit for the mediums, or I should say started on the mediums, really not working out, because at the moment it doesn't look like they're going to be able to make any progress unless somehow Zonema makes a mistake, which I very rarely see. So Gary Del Neo Luigi, a strategy call that may well have been worth it, but it doesn't look like it's going to come to any good unless things dramatically change in the second half of this race.
We're going to have to see, of course, safety car could come into play. Yes, Rick is now into the pits, so I presume he's going to go onto another set of mediums. Does look like that, just to confirm. Yes, he has the yellow wall tires, yes he has. So he's going to go for the medium. Let's see if he can walk into the advantage the hard runners at the moment have. And let's see, he should be coming out just ahead of Flash, I reckon. Yeah, quite a bit ahead of Flash, actually. So, yes, Maledictus next on this list, about 5, 6, 7 seconds ahead. I reckon 6 could be about there. So, yeah, he has a bit of time to make up. Let's see if he can do it.
Zonema now attacking Spag. The Spag covers the inside lane. I'm getting deja vu here, right outside. Zonema gets cut off there. Spag holds on to it fairly but aggressively still, and he maintains that 7th place. And no opportunity has been presented to XL Gary, who still sits frustrated in P9 at the moment. So the last car to stay out and let the next car to pit, I presume. XL Ryan leads the way, but it is being rapidly chewed into by XL Hardy, and Iro Packer is moving right with him there. Packer still keeping the pressure on, has not lined up an overtaking opportunity, but he is right there and ready to take advantage of any mistake. Packer looks supremely confident and fast, but can he get a move done in the closing stages here of this race? So here we go then. They close up on Ryan. Ryan's pit stop will surely be in the next few laps then. we've already seen it's going to be a same actually still out there. So these hard runners maybe being a bit more persistent. Ryan stays out another lap, and now we're going to see the two net race leaders close up on him there, and this could be a real chance if Hardy's not careful and just clinical with the move. It could present the opportunity for Packer. So Hardy needs to be careful with this, not allow any opportunities, and make the move stick. If he wants to try and win this championship, he needs to be on his A game all the time, and we're going to get a real test then of the former Division 3 drivers for mental fortitude here and his skills out on track there. He closes down on Ryan, Packer closes down on him. The three race leaders now converge as we head down through Rappels Boulevard on to lap 18 of this race. Then Hardy now is right with Ryan and putting the pressure on the Racing Point, looking for a potential way through. It is so difficult to overtake around Singapore, and now we're going to see if he can pull it up, and he runs way through turn 9. That's what I mean, that's what's drawing Packer even closer. The battle for the race lead is now very much on, so Ryan will surely be under pressure. Then maybe coming out of turn 13, he's going to be lining up there as Hardy now towards turn 13, then on to those brakes. Then the Racing Point struggles, gets out wide, and now over to DRS does Hardy. Then he gets the ERS flowing as well, goes around the outside of his XL compatriot then, and he sweeps across there. Hardy right the outside, superb move, that's exactly what he needs. And then Packer lining up there to the outside, down the inside of turn 16, no, he cannot see it through. Ryan holds on to it, and Hardy's done exactly what he needed to do. He's got a car between himself and his main rival. Further back down the field there, Dylan and Gary battling away, and Dylan able to get through on another XL driver, and Gary who drops down to the 10th place. They're so frustrating for the Irishman. He continues to lose out in this race. Now let's keep an eye battle for P2 on the road. Packer sets on the rear wing now of XL Ryan, heading down towards turn 1 there. He's lining it up there. Can he go round the outside of turn 1 then on the Racing Point there? Deep Revy gets forced up the road, goes wide off the circuit. Ryan holds on still just in front there, and he's doing his XL mate a massive favour. Hardy out of DRS where he's doing exactly what he needs to do. So now out of turn 5, surely Packer has it this time. They lay it up there for Memorial Corner at turn 7 there. He lays on the inside line. Ryan squeezes him towards the wall, making it as difficult as he can. Packer squeezes him towards the wall on the outside, on the right hand side, but this time we'll get it through. Ryan dives it down the inside. Wow, he's has to run out of road though, surely. Packer fights his way through, was not like that one go. He gets in the second, but Hardy's done what he needed to do. Now 1.4 second lead out in front.
He definitely has got a second advantage basically of Ryan holding up Packer at that point. So, but it does look like Packer still has the advantage on the ERS, so maybe he can close back up, and his pace is looking tremendous. So let's see if he can do it. Rick is close up to the back of Nico in the meantime. He's gone past Maledictus already, actually. So he is rapidly gaining on these hard runners. And now maybe towards turn 14, can he make a move? He gets underneath the Red Bull here. DRS overtake is open. Let's see, running outside here. This should be a dumb move for the Williams. Yes. Nico backs out, and Rick is up at P11.
So Rick making solid progress, and he's only a few seconds behind that train, still led by Spag. Now in 6th place, he's done a superb job of holding these drivers up then. As further back down the field there, it's going to be Seb also on the move. He is now past MMA Slash on fresh tires further up the road now. Lando's going to get through because Ryan finally dives back into that pit lane. Where will he emerge, and how far can he fight? He'll be surely between Maledictus and Scuderia Seb. We'll see what progress he can make of that. Zerma now up behind Spag. Now this is a battle for the top 5. How the fortunes have shifted for these guys then, with all the pit stops that have taken place. Zerma is closer than ever though to the back of Spaghetti. Chaps it up at the front. I just want to mention Packer's fighting back into DRS of Hardy, so that battle for the lead is not over yet. Here comes Zerma now for 5th place. There lines up to the inside of turn 6. He'll clear it before turn 7, and through goes now Dylan down the inside on Spag. Breaks incredibly late, tries to get it stopped. He does get it stopped. Spag loses 2 in 1. Dylan, superb stuff to find that inside line, make the move stick. Now he has a run at Zaudema. It's finally the fresher hard runners going to come through now. Zella now has a clear run at Zaudema, and he can try, if he may, to close up to the likes of Baki and Lando up ahead. Dylan moves through, superb stuff. Now he has Zaudema in his sights. Can Dylan somehow salvage a top 5 finish, which will do wonders to keep him in the championship fight with Rick down in 10th?
It could definitely do wonders, but so for Hardy, he now does have Packer indeed back in his ERS. 810s, Packer's pushed a lot, I reckon, throughout the last lap or so, and he's now back into it, and he is looking very feisty. He has to make a move quite soon, I reckon, because he still has that time penalty, and I don't think Hardy has one. So Packer is looking quite desperate here, so he has to get past.
Here we go then, this trade now, lining it all up. So let's look ahead there, Dylan on the back of Zerwa. Let's get a bit of an update on this then. Gary lining up, Spag as you mentioned now. Can he get that move done? Spag is outside of it there, Rick draws alongside Luigi immediately. Wow, what an incredible surge of offensive in this one. Mean about Rick, he is going to fly now. The gap from him to the race lead is about 13 seconds. It is a lot to make up, but never mind. He is on an absolute mission at the moment. Now, up at the front. Now, can Dylan finally get his way through on XL Zerwa? Gets it around slipstream then, overtaking ERS, everything he can to move. Nobody claims that inside line. And Iro Dylan is up in a 5th place now, further back there. Gary then into the spot, forces his way through, barges his way through. In the end, he gets through. Rick now round the outside of the Ferrari. This time, Spag will hold on to it. Rick couldn't quite find his way round the outside of turns 8. That was so aggressive from Gary. Wheel-to-wheel contact with Spag. And Spag now on the defensive because Rick now lining him up. So now Rick, the Finn, the Williams driver, is just starting to get held up in this fight. He needs to try and make this manoeuvre soon and quickly if he wants to get back up to the front then. Spag will do everything he can to defend. He held back Zerwa for so long. Can he do the same to Rick? Rick though lining him up with overtake. Pulls to the outside. Heading down towards turn 14 there. Rick breaks very late. Pinches Spag to the inside line. And right outside Rick gets the move done. He now runs in 8th place. And with the fastest lap of the race as well. He's over 2 seconds quicker than the race leaders on fastest lap. Rick is flying. Can he pull this one back? What an unusual strategy, what an unlikely strategy, but it's working. He's already up in front of where he started in the race. Now as XL Gary decides there, and no, this seems almost an inevitability. There's nothing to defend with. Surely any defense will be futile for XL Gary, because Rick again on the back of him. But he's now, his weapon of the ERS has now been nullified because he's got almost nothing left. So now he has to do this the old-fashioned way. He lines up XL Gary, tries to get the move done then. They head towards turn 5 then, on to those brakes. They're swinging out, look for a better exit. We have yellow flags. I think that's one of the racing points. But look at Rick, he draws immediately alongside Wheel-to-wheel XL Gary has the overtake. He's going to try and force his way through. Pinches Gary, squeezes him to the inside line, but he'll get the move done. Neil Luigi now down the inside, and now the hard runners are beginning to forge through. Spag trying to fight it back around the outside of turn 8. No, cannot quite get that move done. He has to just sit in there. But look at this tin can now, that's in the pit lane. So after another error in this race, the Racing Point driver has just decided to call it a day finally. I am thrilled though at this point because the charge of Rick continues. Zerwa now just in front of him there. He lines it up yet again then. The traction at turn 13 is immense then, and now the run is immense. To the inside is going to be in a turn 14 then. He has the line. Can he get it on the brakes? He brakes much later. Squeezes out towards the wall. Wow, just about holding on to his out, but Rick moves through up in a 6th place. Can anyone stop him? What an incredible late charge this is from the Finn, and if he keeps going this way, he may even end up on the podium in this race.
Definitely looks like that, and he's showing some incredible moves and incredible pace, and he's onto the back of Iro Dylan, the last one onto the train, and then he has a 4-second gap to make up to Baki up ahead. Let's see if he can get past the Red Bull cleanly. Slash picks up a time penalty. Now the DRS will be open. I don't think he's close enough here, but he'll be going on to it for the Raffles Boulevard, and we gotta keep an eye on Packer as well. He's kind of close up to Hardy, but I don't think he's close enough for a move either. 5.5 10, that gap stays, but Rick still onto the back of Dylan as Packer is getting closer. Not making a move though. Had a little look, I think, but now Rick onto the back of Iro Dylan once again. Onto the Raffles Boulevard, into turn 6, now towards turn 7. Is he gonna make a move? He's looking down the inside. Later breaks on Dylan, and the should be a done move for the Williams. Yes, it is. P5, and now he gets onto the charge, onto Baki.
Yeah, that was a textbook move from Rick then, and yet again he continues to surge forward then, and can he get himself onto that podium there? He's got about 8 or 9 seconds to make up on Lando, but well, with the pace that he has, you sense that may well even be a possibility. Up at the front, as you were alluding to, Packer has closed up to Hardy, but he's used all of his ERS to do so, so the overtake will be much more difficult. But I think that Packer, on balance, may well have been the fastest driver over the course of this race, so he has has a real opportunity of getting P1 on track, but I know he has a penalty. I'm not sure about Hardy. So let's have a look. Let's see eventually how everything is going to unfold. Packer doesn't look like he's going to be close enough then. I'm sure, because I know you so well, that you're looking through the penalties and see where they all stand. Packer, another penalty, that could swing it now towards Hardy.
Yeah, Hardy has 2 warnings, so I was going to say he's going to look out, but now that Packer has a penalty, another one, it's going to be very difficult for the American to actually get this win here. And he has to hope for Hardy to get another penalty or make a mistake, or basically pull away about 6 seconds as he hits the wall there. That might be damage, I'm not too sure there. It looks fine, but it might be minor damage we can't see at the moment. Hardy keeps ahead. Packer can't make the move work. Meanwhile, further behind we have Nico onto the back of Spag. At the moment, Maledictus is in behind as well. Is Nico going to make the move here? Closing up to the back of the Ferrari, running outside of turn 6. There's contact between the two. Nico's into the wall. Spag just about keeps out of the wall somehow. That was very odd. It looked like Spag just kind of didn't stick to the wall there, and Nico expected him to. So that makes them both drop down the grid now. 13 for 14. Nico now has damage. I don't know if Spag has, but very unfortunate to see for both of them.
Yeah, that was so odd there. It looked like they just came together very slightly and got dragged towards the wall. Very spectacular incident. Spag was trying to squeeze him out. Nico trying to get through that gap that he left. But they came together and went spearing into the wall. Nico, major damage. And I think now that could render him out of contention in this Grand Prix, unfortunately, for the Spaniard. Spag can fight on, but he's lost a lot of ground as well. So he's really he's been really just lost out really from that, and he drops well down the grid as well. Now out of the points of Spag after a very solid race in the last few laps. It has started to betray him, and now he loses out in this race. So we're going to turn our attentions now towards the front of the grid. Packer still chasing Hardy. Isn't close enough for a move this time. But Rick continues to bear down on Baki now, just up the road. So he's making inroads in the Alfa Romeo's advantage over him. And surely the Williams defend against the pole. And the Alfa Romeo can try and maybe get a move done. Sometimes in Spag now out the session. In the pit lane there. He's had enough in this race. Nico may well continue on, but with damage as well. I don't think he really has much more to fight for in terms of the points in this race. So it's all beginning to maybe settle down there. I say that though. It's going to be a set there. Attacking Maledictus right outside of turn 7. Can he get that one done on the Ferrari? Gets squeezed out though. Has to yield it. And just has to wait in behind QVR Maledictus, sitting in 10th and 11th at the moment. And it's going to be a Seb trying to make the most of those medium tyres now as XL Ryan on the back of him then. So Spag now at the session. He is not happy in the slightest. Nico and Skies as well in there. It's been a horrible day for the most part for QVR at the moment. Looks like Baki and Maledictus may have to fly the flag for that team, that esports team, of course. So up at the front, Hardy now breaking away from Packer, and actually Lando is coming back into this. Lando with superb speed, now getting back towards him is right now, crawling all over the back of Baki. Surely will get a move done soon then. The Williams chasing down the Alfa Romeo. Baki will do all he can, but surely this one is just a matter of time.
It does look like that, and just to note, Lando has 1 penalty. So he's on course for a 2nd place at the moment. Of course, in behold, Rick is still to catch, maybe. Let's see, Rick is not going to go for a move into turn 1. He's not close enough here. But he'll once again go for it on the Raffles Boulevard, I expect.
Yeah, of course, that is the main overtaking point, as we have alluded to. And with fresher tyres and softer tyres, surely Baki doesn't have much to fight with. But we will see, of course, that they head out of turn 5 and they overtake immediately on them. Baki has more to use, but I don't think he has much to resist. Now, to the inside goes Rick for 4th place then. On this charge through the field, goes one step further. And he now runs inside the top 4 in the race then. It's superb. Just fight through the field. Now Gary Wheels, Will Sullivan yet again, heading down turn 8 on the inside line. Edwin Sullivan shoulder. He squeezes him out, but Gary does not give it up then. Inside of turn 9, fights for traction, fights for grip. He'll fight for the position as well, and they're still side by side on exit, but Gary will see it through. We'll get that 7th place finally after a fierce resistance from the McLaren. That has been more than 10 laps, and Megan Gary goes round almost there, just able to wrestle it, just able to see it, and he nearly lost that position back, so he just has to settle in behind. But up at the front there, as Gary looks like he'll hold on in front of Zenema. Lando's speed over the last few laps has been phenomenal. He's catching Packer, but he's also catching Hardy. He has a penalty, but you mentioned Hardy has 2 warnings. Lando may have an outside chance of this one. Hardy is not over yet. With about 5 laps to go, he still has to watch out there, because now the Renault driver's on the charge.
He is definitely on his charge. I think he's close about second in the last few laps onto Hardy, if you compare it to him, and now into the DRS of Packer. Is he going to make a move towards Raffles Boulevard? Packer not having the DRS himself. It's going to be difficult to see for him to defend very. Landing now onto the back. I think he's just about 6 tenths behind, and it does look like he's just about too far away.
Yeah, he's going to have to settle in for another lap then. Packer maybe sustained very, very minor wing damage. It doesn't show up, but he definitely did impact the wall. And I'm wondering if that maybe is starting to work against him. He's also looking over his shoulder, because now Rick is getting himself into that range he needs to if a penalty. I don't think Rick has a penalty, but if you could please check that, just verify it for the Fed. For the back end of the field, the Ryan moves past Maledictus. That's for 11th place there. He moves up, and it doesn't look like that hard starting strategy is working out there. He runs 11th, but probably with not much more to fight for. So still Lando chases out Packer, but what about Rick? Does he have a penalty?
He actually does have a penalty and 2 warnings, so he's in the verge of another one, so he's got to watch out for that.
Okay, well, Rick, maybe not in as strong a position as I anticipated, now has a lot to do to try and get back into this one. Fastest lap by some margin for Mr. Skyzy, but at the back of the field, I don't think he has much more to improve on that. There he is, a long way off. The majority of the field, I'd say the top 12, have had pretty clean races and have had a good chance at working their way forward and just having a good chance of fighting for points in this Grand Prix, as Gary picks up another penalty, and I think he may be losing quite a few places as well once they are applied. He currently runs 7th, but he may well not stay that way. Again, Lando closes up to Iro Packer. For that 2nd place, we have less than 4 laps to go here in Singapore, and we will see how the fortunes are going to change amongst our front runners here in this Grand Prix. Hardy has driven an incredible race under pressure, and if he can just hold on for a few more turns in the Marina Bay Street Circuit, he's looking good to hold on to it. Lando tried to get up to Packer, and he's got immense closing speed, but surely too far away. He looks the inside, he's almost going to go for it. The closing speed down that Raffles Boulevard was phenomenal, but in the end he just settled in. Packer's very good in that first sector, as it appears, and he's not allowing Lando any opportunities, and at the moment he's doing Hardy a massive favour, because Lando looks to be the fastest driver out of the top 3 at the moment, but at the moment as it stands he's not able to get through it. Hardy can just do what he does, run his own race and still maintain that race. He now stands at 1.5 seconds with 3.5 laps to go.
It looks like Hardy's in a prime position to pick up the win here if Lando doesn't get by soon enough. Rick is 3 points up. He's still gaining on the cars ahead, but it's going to be difficult to actually overtake him. If he keeps to that 1 penalty, he may get the podium of Packer. If he's close enough as Mr. Skies, he's now retired into pit lane. Yeah, he's not had the greatest race either. We're going to have to look. Scuderia Sepp is still onto the back of Nivo Luigi. He's on the mediums as well, so he might try a move quite soon enough.
Yeah, Nivo Luigi now under pressure, I should say, from Scuderia Sepp 27 in the Renault. Now he's got a load of cars to try and work his way through, but we'll see how far he can make it in that battle. Up at the front, 3 laps to go, and XL Hardy doing everything he needs to do. He has not put a foot wrong and has driven a remarkable race. Just has a few more laps to go for his remarkably, I believe in it anyway, his first victory here in Division 2, but we'll hold that thought. It may well change. I think Nivo Luigi, as he dropped back though, I think that's actually Sky's AI car that's got back out on the race circuit, so hopefully that's not going to change much. Hopefully he'll stay out of the way for the moment there. Lando again closing up to Packer, but again will not draw near enough to make any major offensive manoeuvres. Further back though, Scuderi is trying to rein in Luigi, but he won't get close enough this time, and has to sit behind the Mercedes. Their last gasp attempts may well be refuted, and again lose the rear end coming out of turn 7. Will just about keep that together. Luigi now reins in XL Zanima just up the road. Those two long-term drivers in LOE may well go to battle. Due battle just out on the road then. Again, Lando right on the back of Aeropacker, but again the straight is just not long enough for him to make a significant inroads, and still Packer maintaining that second place, and still Hardy maintaining his race lead at the back of the field. Nico will cruise past MMA Slash, but these two are well outside contention for points. Unfortunately, races haven't gone their way for either driver, and they're both drivers that have had solid seasons so far, so that could really start to halt their offences and maybe their attempts at getting further up the standings. Slash currently 4th in the championship, Nico in 9th, so they're going to be, I suspect, losing out in the points compared to some of their nearest rivals. 2 laps to go, and Packer leads Lando still out there. They're very even on the RS. They're both very, very low, but so far Lando can't get through Packer is quick enough in the first sector that Lando so far hasn't been able to mount a challenge. Can he possibly do that with a better run coming off of 5? He has more grip in the tyres. Yeah, well, I should say that actually. It's very even, and my apologies on that there, but Packer still just hanging on there. Lando looks to the inside, he can't get close enough, and now Hardy just has just over a lap to go, and he is chasing now 1.3 seconds to the good without a penalty. He looks desperate for this. He just has to hang on to the end there, and Hardy may well be up for his first win of the season.
And in the meantime, Scuderi steps down the inside of Neo Luigi into turn 7. Textbook move for the Renault, and he's up into P9, and maybe he can just about close up to Zadema. We're gonna have to see.
Yes, it's going to race it, making that move. Can he close up at the dying stages of the Singapore Grand Prix? So we are now right at the death. Packer's using the last of his ERS reserves to hold back Lando. Look at how close Rick has got. What a drive this has been from Rick. But that extra penalty, I think, is going to cost him a place in second place. I think he will get on the podium as it stands, unless he gets another time penalty in the last lap and a bit of this Singapore Grand Prix, which now nears its conclusion, and Hardy still leads the way. 1.6 seconds now is his advantage, is his margin, and now if he can just deal with the pressure, he can hang on and secure a race victory here for McLaren and for XL. Hardy, one more lap to see out this race win. So can he do it? Here we go, 1.7 seconds. Barring a mistake, he will have this. Still, though, the battle for second place rages on. But again, Packer is good enough to the first few corners that Lando cannot get up to him. He has a lot of straight line speed, a lot of closing speed coming down the straights. He can't even use the last of his overtake. He knows he's too far away. Packer will hang on to it with 6 seconds of penalties. I think he'll surely lose out. And I think Packer is going to be off the podium yet again. Rick may well pick up that podium. Lando fighting for second place, but it looks like it's all about Hardy. Just half a lap to go, and he'll secure his first race victory, and one that will pull him ever closer to that championship lead.
He does look very close to that lead. He's built a gap of 2 seconds right about now, and he does look to be on for a victory here, bar any penalties or mistakes, which of course we don't hope for him. Still training in the midfield here, but it looks not like there's going to be any moves around here. Maybe Ryan, if he's brave enough into turn 14. He looks to be quite fast at the moment, but I don't think he's close enough. So we're going to have to look at Hardy, I think, to cross the line quite soon enough.
2.3 seconds now his margin. He has commanded the race in the last few laps. He's had podiums this season. He joined late. He was promoted from Division 3. He's emerged as a championship contender, but up to this point, he's still not won a race. Now one corner just separates him from that. And XL Hardy round into McLaren. He takes the race victory here in Singapore. Hardy comes through. Lando and Rick get promoted in the end. They score second and third then, and then back he nearly jumps Packer, but couldn't quite get through. Dylan comes through sixth. Ryan gets seventh there. Look how close Zanima was to overhauling him. Ryan predictably drops well down the order. Zanima, Seb, the Luigi and Ryan, and Maledictus will round off your points finishers for today. Wow, wow, wow. What a drive that was! Hardy had so much pressure through that race from Packer, from Lando, in the end from Rick, and he hung on to it. He's overcame the demons, and he has won the race here. Will now draw him 10 points closer to the race, to the championship lead that Rick still holds. But is that battle now beginning to shape up? Hardy drives superbly, wins the race from Lando and Rick, and he will score now the full 25 points from this race, 21 points away from the championship lead. But with Dylan down there in 6th and Slash completely out of the points, are we seeing now the championship potentially developing into a 2-horse race as we hit the final third of the season?
Yeah, because at this point, I think the gap between Hardy and Rick will be 22 points. It's, actually, Rick got his fast lap taken away, so ignore me. That should be 21 points, I believe.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's looking like a 2-horse race between them, and Hardy is closing on to the back of the Williams now.
So, game on. Remember, Hardy started this season in Division 3. He was late to the party, was Hardy, but wow, oh wow, he has made such a splash, such an impression, and now a genuine title contender then. Rick is going to have to be looking over his shoulder more than ever. Hardy has been chipping away at his advantage, and now as we reach the final stages here in Division 2, it all begins to come good for Hardy. Here's your race winner. Leave it to QVR Verstappen, my co-commentator, to run us through the results.
Yeah, so Hardy, Lando and Rick on the podium. Then we have Packer in 4th, Baki, a very stellar race in 5th. Then Dylan and Saitama 6th and 7th. Scuria, Sepp, New Luigi, Ryan rounding up the top 10. Then we have Gary and Malik just getting a few points for themselves. Nico Slash last two to finish. Slash taking up the fastest lap as well. Skyzy, Spack and Tinkan, unfortunately for them, not finishing.
So that is it for Singapore, in a race that has really started to throw the championship race wide open. Rick held such a solid lead, but it is beginning to get chipped away at. Rick, of course, started 9th on the grid, did superbly well to fight through, also start driving from Dylan as well to get up to 6th in the end and make amends for his disaster class in qualifying. So he gets 6th in the end, keeps his slim championship hopes alive, but maybe it is just starting to slip away and it is becoming a 2-horse race. Hardy is your race winner from Lando and Rick, and now that championship fight hots up even further, gets tighter than ever. Rick's championship lead, as we mentioned, getting chipped into. So here we go then. That is the 13th round over. Just 5 races to go here in Season 4 Division 2. Do not go anywhere for the final stages of the season. It could get very, very thrilling. It's going to be very difficult to call as to who is going to take that championship. Stay tuned for that though, and keep an eye out for how everything's going to unfold. I don't know if you've got anything left to say for Verstappen, or are we pretty much done here?
I think we're quite done here. Congrats to Hardy for the race win and closing up in the championship. And of course to Rick in a 3rd place, and then who was it? I'm sorry, Lando again 2nd place.
It's been a long day, folks.
Yeah.
Alright, well thank you very much to everyone for watching. Thanks to all the drivers for putting on a great show for us here tonight. So I think that is going to be it then. I think we're going to round things off for the Singapore Grand Prix. Aaron Zaka, he's been Verstappen, and until next time, we'll see you later.